All right, so you guys can take a look at the notes, okay? We have a summary for that, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3. This summary is on page 52. Okay, so please go over that. I'll be asking some of you to tell me what to do, okay? Okay, so let's start with number 7 here. So Evan, can you tell us what's our first step in the summary?
Change the general form.
Yeah, and we need to find out the ABCD, right?
Yeah.
Okay, have you changed it to the general form yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, can you do that? And then let me know what it looks like, okay?
Do I write it down?
No, you can tell me. Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, so Evan, what's the general form?
I'm not quite sure if it's right though, but is it negative cosine and then a bracket, like the square bracket, 2 pi, and then bracket x minus 2 bracket plus 4.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so you need to factor out the 2 pi, right? Very good. Okay, because you cannot have a number in front of the x. If there is anything like that, you take it out. Okay, so once we get here, we can list out our ABCD, okay? All right, Caleb, can you tell us what's the ABCD here?
The A is -1, B
Yeah,
is 2 pi,
yeah.
C is -2, and
Mhm.
D is 4.
Okay, so this is the mistake I noticed in your homework, okay? For the C, you have to change the sign, okay? Because you see a -2 inside, but your C should be +2, okay, Caleb?
Okay.
Okay, so for every question in your work, okay, you got a C incorrect, okay? So that's why it affects your table value. So if table value is wrong, right, the graph will be wrong. Okay, so now once we get the ABCD, okay, we can move on to step 2. Right, Marcus, what is step 2?
Reflection.
Yep, we need to write down the story, right?
Yeah.
Reflection, what's a reflection here?
Reflect over y-axis, isn't it?
How do you know?
A is negative.
If A is negative, should be reflect over x-axis.
Oh, okay, X-ray.
Yeah, so when would it be reflected over y-axis?
When B is negative.
Yeah, okay. So if you feel you're gonna mix it up, okay, make sure you write it down in your summary box.
Okay.
Okay, reflection. So either A negative or B negative. Okay, it will reflect differently. So let's go back. Okay, we have reflect over x-axis. And remember there was one question. One of you put reflection for every single one, okay? Even though there's no negative. Okay, so I just cross it out, right? And there's no reflection if you don't see negative in A or B. Okay, after reflection, we move on to S, right? So what's the S here, Nick?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
S is, so the amplitude would be 1.
Yep, very good. Amplitude is 1, and then
New period would be 2 pi over, so 1,
2 pi over
2 pi.
2 pi, so that would be 1, very good. And then
And T, so it'd be phase
not
shift.
yet, we are not at T yet. One more thing for S.
Oh, oh, size of space. So
Very
that's,
good. Yeah.
so that's 1 over 4.
Yes, okay, we'll stop there, right? So if any one of you forgot how to get the amplitude, you look at A. Okay, but A here is negative, you have to make it positive, okay? Because amplitude is talking about the height. Height is always positive. And then for new period, you take 2 pi divided by the value of B. And make sure it's positive as well. Okay, and then size of space, you found a period, you divided by 4. Always divide by 4. Okay, last thing is the T. Okay. All right, so Daniel, what's the T here?
Phase shift by 2,
Yeah, phase shift by 2.
and then vertical displacement by 4.
Okay, by 4. Okay. So once you got the ABCD, right, RST should be really easy. Just follow the rule, okay? And what is step 3 now, Angela?
I'll make the graph, sorry, make the X and Y like chart.
Yep, the chart. Okay, we need to make the chart. Okay, let's start with X values. So Chris, how do we get the X values?
You start with C.
Yeah, so what's the first number?
Is it 2?
Yeah, our C is 2, right? Use the C value to get the first one. And after that, how do we get the rest?
Do you add the SOS?
Yeah, so SOS is
1 over 4.
okay, 1 over 4. It will be easier to add with the decimal. So it turned that into 0. What?
25.
Yeah, okay. And because the B here is positive, there's no reflection over y-axis, you do adding. You keep on adding the SOS. Okay, if B is negative, then you need to do subtraction with the SOS. Okay, so Chris, can you complete the table then?
2, 2.25, 2.5, 2.75,
Yeah,
and 3.
yeah. Okay, so it started with a 2, ends at 3. That total gap, right? The difference is 1. And that matches our period, right? From 2 to 3, you complete the whole graph, makes it 1, right? 1 period. Now we need to go on to the y values. Okay, y values are easier to figure out. Okay. How do we get the y values? Susan?
You make an equation,
What's the equation here?
negative y plus 4.
Yeah, negative y plus 4. Yeah, and how do I use the equation?
You plug in the original values,
For
cosine.
cosine, what are the original values?
The originals are uh, one,
Mm-hmm.
0,
Yeah,
negative 1,
yeah.
0, and 1.
Yeah, okay. So the way I help you guys to remember is to use this chart, right? Cosine, right? You start with, you have 0 and 0 in the middle, right? Because there's an O, right? In the word cosine, and then 1, negative 1. So you start from the right side and then go counterclockwise, right? So 1, 0, negative 1, 0, back to 1. Okay, that makes a complete circle, right? So that's one period. Okay, once you got the chart, okay, then the graph, you just follow it. I think, and also the scale, okay? I noticed some of your graph, you didn't use the ruler at all, and the space is too far off, right? For example, you put scale of 1 here, and then 2 small, and 3, right? And then 4, something like that, okay? I'm a little bit exaggerating, okay? But scale should be evenly spaced out, okay? Otherwise, your curve will be weird, right? Some part is more close, some part more further apart, okay? So make sure you set your scales properly, okay? Because it's been a long break, okay? I want to use these two questions as like a review, okay? So let's go over one more. Right, number 8. So everyone, you can look at your question 8. And write down the question. Okay, so for this one, right, our step 1 is same as before, right? We need to turn it into general form. Okay, so Caleb, can you tell us what should the general form be?
3 sine bracket 2 pi over 3 bracket x plus 1 bracket plus 4.
Very good. And can you tell us the ABCD as well?
A is 3,
Mm-hmm.
B is negative pi over 2 pi over 3.
Mm-hmm.
C is negative 1,
Very good.
and 4 is and D is 4.
Yeah, okay. So just remember for C, if you see a +1, you need to flip it, make it -1. Okay. So that will affect the phase shift, okay, the C. Okay, and then number 2, RST, right? So RST. Okay, so second time around, okay, we can go over faster. Okay, Lily, we'll come back. Okay, can you tell us the R? Do we have R?
Reflection over x-axis.
How come? Why do you think there's reflection? What do you look for?
There's no reflection
How do you know?
because
What do you look at?
negative sign on B.
Either B or A, okay? If there's a negative on the B, then you get reflection over what?
Y
Yeah, over Y. If negative with the A,
over X.
over x-axis. Yeah, very good. Okay, so this one, both A and B are positive, so it should be no reflection. Okay, yeah, so you can just write none. Make sure you guys check the answer, okay, with your own work. If you got it wrong, okay, you need to correct that and then submit again, okay? All right, next one, the S. Let's go to Eric. What do you have for S?
The amplitude is 3,
Yeah, amplitude 3, and then
it's the new period is 2 pi over 2 pi divided by 3. So
what
it
would that
becomes,
be?
does it become 3?
Yeah, it becomes 3. Okay, make sure you simplify it, and then
And then the side of space is 3 over 4, so 0.75.
very good. Okay, 0.75, right? 0.75. Okay, and T. What will be the T? CZ.
Phase shift -1, and
Mhm.
then vertical displacement is 4.
Okay, vertical displacement is 4. Okay, and then last part. Okay, when you get the table. Okay, X and Y. So let's start with the X. Marcus, how do we get the X values?
You look at UC,
Yeah, so what's the first number?
-1.
And then,
Then it's -2, and you just keep hang on. Then you use SOS.
yeah, SOS is,
0.75.
and then what do we do?
You minus it.
For this one, if you look at B, what's the value for B?
2 pi over 3.
Okay, so that one is positive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's positive, you don't do minus for size of space. Okay, you only need to minus if B is negative.
Okay.
Because it makes it flip over y-axis. It will be going to the left instead of going to the right. Okay. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we get the other points now?
So you add 0.75.
Yeah,
So it'd be -0.25,
yeah,
and then 0.5,
0.5, yeah,
and then 1.25.
1.25, and then
For Y.
now one more. We still
Oh,
have
one more. 2.
2. Okay, very good. So from -1 to 2, this distance is 3, right? And that is matches our new period. Okay, then you know you added correctly. All right, so let's go to the y values. Okay, Waylon, how do we get a y values?
Is that a times y plus d?
Yeah, so what's the a times y plus d here?
So what are we 4, 7, 4, 1, 4?
What's the formula? What's the a and d here?
Oh, a is 3. Y is gonna be 0.
Okay,
So it's supposed to be 0, 1, 0, -1, 0, and then you add the 4.
add the 4. Okay, very good. Okay, so you multiply by 3 and then add a 4. Okay, can you tell us your number then? Your after you changed.
4, 7, 4, 1, 4.
47414. Yeah, okay. Oh, I think the last question we didn't change it, right? Let me check. Right, so for number 7 should be 3. Right, go back up. Okay, number 7. After we plug it in, right, should be 34543. Right. And for this one, number 8, 47414. Yeah. Okay. So each questions, okay, if you are doing it without checking, keep checking the notes, should be done in about 5 minutes, right? Getting the tables. Okay. Okay, now there's I think there's just one questions. Okay, so for number 5 and 6, we'll just check A, B, C, D. Okay, if A, B, C, D's are correct, then you should be fine. All right, so let's get a general form for 5. Okay, Evan, do you have the general form for 5?
Not yet.
Okay, and then let me know when you have it.
I think I have it.
Okay,
Is it y equals -5 cosine square bracket
mhm.
2 bracket x minus pi over 6 bracket plus 2?
Yep,
So
very
that's
good.
great.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so you need to take out the 2. When you take out the factored out the 2, the power 3 need to divide by 2. You need to divide by the number you factored out, so makes it power 6. Okay, and from there you figure out the A, B, C, D. Right. Number 6. Okay, Angela, what's the general form for this one? Angela?
Y equals 4 sine bracket 2 bracket
2.
negative
Where did you get the 2?
I don't think I did this one right.
We're sign number 6, right? Is it?
Yeah, number 6.
Yeah, number 6.
I'm not really sure.
Okay, so you have a 2 after the sign.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at inside the bracket, what's weird about the thing inside the bracket, inside this red bracket right now?
The pi and the x position, like they're switched.
Yeah, usually we should have x in the front, right? And then the number at the back, right? So your first step, you should switch them around first. So how do you swap them?
Like just flip them.
So what do I put?
Negative 4x plus pi over 2.
Yeah, okay, because you got to swap with the -4 in front as well without changing the question, right? You cannot just write 4x minus pi over 2, right? You need to take the negative. Okay, so once you get to this point, what's the number in front of the x?
Negative 4.
Yeah, so -4 is the number you need to factor out. Okay,
Yeah.
so it will become y equal to 4 sine, and then
Bracket
Mhm.
negative 4 bracket x plus pi over sorry, minus pi over 8.
Okay, very good. Okay, so you need to divide it by -4, so that makes it become minus pi over 8. And then
Minus 1.
-1, yeah. Okay, so there you go. So that's your A, right? There's your B. Your C is this pi over 8, right? And then D is there. So this is the only question that has a B negative, right? B is -4. So remember, when you make the table, the x value, you need to subtract size of space. Okay, this one is flipping over the y-axis. Okay, so I think that should be a pretty good review of where we left off before the break. Okay, if you get anything that's incorrect, please correct them right now. Okay, I give you some time. And if you're ready to move on to the new things, you can raise your hand. Okay. So check over your 4 questions, okay, for the graphs. Okay, I'm just curious. For those of you already turned it in, are you still able to make changes? Like to submit it again by yourself, or do I need to return it to you? Anyone?
Ourselves.
You can still make changes, right? Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The button.
Thank you. Yeah. So for those of you I already marked, you can make corrections and then submit it again. Then I'll change your marks, okay? Okay, if you are done correcting, okay, please raise your hand. Okay, so I think it's about time we start the new lesson, okay? So if you're still working on correction, you can do that during the break, okay? Just make sure you hand it in before the end of class today. So everyone, please turn to page 51, okay? Look at page 51 first before we look at the new things, okay? I want to talk about how what's the new things about, right? So everyone, please go to page 51. question 18. We did this question last time, right? That was our last question. So for today's new lesson is to go backwards. Okay, so look at the steps that we did. Step 1 was write A, B, C, D, right? Step 2, write out a story. Step 3, you get the table. Step 4, you follow the table and make the graph. So now everything is gonna reverse. So instead of trying to draw the graph, they give you the graph, right? So your step 1 will now having the, well, you need to look at the graph, right? You don't need to draw it. And then from there, you try to get a table of value, right? From the table, you get a story. Once you have the story, you can write A, B, C, D. And then you find the original function. Okay, what it looks like the question, right? So everything go backwards. Of course, you do it a little bit differently, okay? Because if you try to get a whole table of value, it'll take a long time, okay? We only look at the important things, the key parts, then that will be enough. Okay, so if, for example, because question 18 has a negative for the B, so it will be a little bit different. Look at a simpler one. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we'll look at this one. Okay, question 16. Okay, so previous page. Right, so remember our C value, right? Now look at the table. Okay, for question 16. To get the C values, C here is 0, right? And we use the value of C to get our first X values. So your first point for the X, okay, the first point for the X is very important. It tells you where the graph starts. Okay, so for example, in question 16, your C value is at 0, -1, right? So if you look at a graph, 0, -1 is this one. Oops. Yeah. So this is your starting point. Okay, because for this question, it got shifted down. Not shifted. Vertical displacement is -1, so it moved down by 1, but there's no phase shift. Okay, so your starting point is at 0, -1. Okay, now if you look at 18 again, the value for C is 2, right? I'll circle that. So this is your C. The first number for the X is the C. So you look at the graph again, right? At 2, 1 is this one. This is your starting point. And because this one has a negative for the B, so it's moving the points towards to the left. So you keep on subtracting size of space, okay? From the starting point. Okay, from the starting point, you move to the left, right? Move to this one, this one, this one, and this one, right? Moving towards left. So when you get a graph, we don't need to know all the points. The most important points to find out the starting points. Okay. So let's look at an example here. So everyone look at page 53, question 20. Okay, can you raise your hand if you're on this page? Okay, Jocelyn and Philip, you know where we are? Jocelyn, are you on the page? Okay. So as you can see, right, you don't have the equation, right? You have a graph. So if you look at the instruction here, write a sine equation. So this means we are looking for y equals to a sine, right? Because it wants a sine, right? And then b x minus c plus d. It's looking for this kind of equation. If they say, please write a cosine, then you change it to cosine, okay? Which describe the graph with a greater than 0. So which means a is positive. A is positive. What does A control? Whether it's positive or negative, what does it mean? If A is negative, what happens? Daniel? What's the use of A?
Reflection,
Yeah, reflection over,
y-axis,
yeah. Over which axis?
x-axis,
Yes, x-axis. Okay, so if A is negative, we get reflection over x-axis. If A is positive, no reflection. Okay, in this case, we want the A to be positive. Okay, also the A tells us the amplitude, right? If you ignore the negative sign. So make sure you write this down. These are the keywords you need to pay attention to. Okay. So once you figure out, okay, we want the sine graph, we want the A to be positive, you need to have it in mind what the sine graph look like. Okay, so draw that on the side, right? Basic y equal to a sine x. Okay, basic means there's no a b c d. A is just one. Okay, basic. So draw that out. Okay, so for sine, if it's basic, it starts from 0, right? And then go up, go down, go down, go up, right? These are the 5 points. Okay, so make sure you have that on the side. Because this is the first question, so we are going over slowly, okay? Right, please raise your hand after you finish writing down everything here so far. Because they want the graph to be a positive, right? So there's no flipping of our basic. Okay, if they want something with a negative a, they need to flip, right? Make your basic different. Okay, Philip, are you done writing? Okay, so you want to find this shape, okay, from the graph that they give you. All right, so this starting place, I call that the origin. Okay, origin. Okay, the origin is the crossing of the x-axis and the y-axis, right? Where they cross each other. Now, because the graph has been moved, so your origin is no longer at 0, 0, right? For the basic, origin is at 0, 0 all the time, right? Where the x and y axis crosses. So once you moved it, it's no longer there. If you look at the question 18 that I mentioned before, right? Used to be 0, 0. Now the origin is moved, right? Remember before I asked you to draw a midline and your starting point is at 2, like that. So your new origin is at 2, 1 instead, okay? Instead of 0, 0. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. You need to know where the graph has been moved. Okay, so we go to here. So you look at the graph, we are looking for this red line in the question, okay? So it has to start from the middle, go up, go down, go down, go up, okay? So for example, if you choose your new origin, of course, you can start by drawing the midline, okay? Midline is in between the highest and the lowest. So that will be there, right? This is the midline. Okay, so first you draw that. Now you want to draw where the new y-axis is. If you put it here, right? Let's say you put it there, then your new origin will be this point. But if you start from that point, the graph will be going down, go up, go up, go down, right? Then it's not the same as what we want to find, okay? This is what we want. Okay, we want the graph to start from the middle, go up, go down, go down, go up, okay? It has to start by going up. So if I put it here, then it will be starting by going down. So that's not what we want to do, okay? I need to erase that, okay? We don't want the starting point to be there. So where should be the starting point then? What do you think? Anyone? Where should be the starting point so the graph will start to go up? Anyone want to take a guess? Eric, do you understand what I mean? Do you understand my questions?
Oh, could you repeat it again? I'm a bit confused.
If you're confused, okay. How about Nick? Did you understand what I was trying to say?
Like when it goes up again?
Yeah, so where is the starting point? So the graph will start by going up.
1. Like x equals to 1, because that's when it starts going up.
X equal to 1, okay. But the starting point should be at on the midline as well. If you look at the basic, right? The starting point with where I circle the origin is on the midline.
Oh.
Get what I mean?
Yeah.
You have 5 options, right? Yeah, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where should I choose? Which one should I choose to be the starting point? So then the graph will be going up from the midline.
3.
Yes, okay. So you want to choose this one. So it matches the shape of what we want to get. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So we will be drawing the y-axis over here instead. Okay, so we call that point our new origin. Remember, origin is where the x-axis and the y-axis cross, but because our x and y-axis has been moved, okay? So we call that the new origin. It used to be 0, 0. Now it will be at a different place. So you graph starting from that point, right? Should look something like this. Okay. Right, if you look at the red, it will be the same shape, right, as the one in the basic, right, the one we want to find. So you need to choose the new origin so that it looks like the basic, okay? If you choose the one on the, if you choose the first point, right, here I choose the third point to be the new origin. If I choose the first point, then it won't be going up first. It'll be going down. Then it won't match. Okay. Can you raise your hand if you understand why we choose number 3 as our new origin? This is the most important step, okay? Otherwise, if you choose the wrong place, your equation will be very different. So make sure you know, you understand why we choose that, right? We won't choose the second one because the second one, it will start by going up and then go up, right? It has to go up twice. But for basic, we don't need to go up twice. Chris, Daniel, and Jocelyn, do you have any questions? Okay. So everyone understand why we have this point, right? So you can write that down now, okay? So our new origin, so step 1 is to draw new x and y axis. Okay, the midline is like the x-axis. Okay, and once you drew the new x and y axis, then you find new origin. Okay, in this case, our new origin is at 4, 1, right? So new origin is 4, 1. Okay, make sure you write this down. Okay, now step 2. So this one is kind of like getting the table value, but in the table value, the most important point is the starting point or origin point. Okay, so you don't need to know all the other points, right? Precisely what they are. Okay, you just need to figure out where the first point is. So now next part is to find out the story, right? To figure out what story can we tell from this graph. So we'll start by the amplitude. Well, the reflection, right? Of course, this one has no reflection. The question wants the A to be positive, right? So no reflections. So we move on to A, the value for A for amplitude. So if you look at the graph, The amplitude refers to the height from the midline. Okay, so I will use the highlighter. Okay, so we'll be talking about this part to this part, the distance, right? Or here to there, right? All these are called amplitude. That's the A. All right, so look at the points. What's the amplitude for this one? Lily, how tall is the graph?
2.
2, very good, okay? The midline is at 1, right? So it goes up to 3, goes down to -1, so distance is 2. So amplitude will tell us the value for A, okay? And because A is positive, so we don't need to write -2, we just write 2. Okay, so we can write A is the amplitude okay, which is 2. Okay, you put absolute value, okay, because we're talking about distance. But if you want to use numbers to calculate, right? Let's say the graph is really hard to tell, or it's they give you a number, right? Instead of showing you the graph, you can take the highest point, we call that maximum point, minus the minimum point, and then divide it by 2. Okay, this is like a formula if you want to show work, right? Instead of counting. So in this example, the highest that it goes up is to 3, right? Goes up to 3. Lowest it goes down is to -1. Right, highest is at 3, lowest is at -1, is the max, is the min. And then you divide it by 2. Because you want half of it. 3 minus -1 is 4. So the distance from highest to lowest is 4, and you cut in half. So that gives you 2, right? So that's also a different way to find the A. Okay, so far so good. Okay, next part is to find the B, value for B. Okay, B has to do with what? What do we use to deal with B, right? What do we use B to find? Evan? My question is, what do we use the value for B to find what?
Was it the reflection?
Okay, if B is negative, it will
Reflect over y-axis?
yeah, okay. What else did we use B for? Only for reflection? There are more important things.
Was it the new period?
That's right. Okay, how do we find a new period? What's the formula to find new period? Evan? Evan, how do we find new period?
Was it 2 pi over something?
Over what?
Over b?
Over B, yeah, okay. So our original formula okay, was new period equal to 2 pi over b. But now we are interested in finding b, right? So the formula for finding b, we need to move around in this formula. So this part, what you can do is you can like do a cross multiply like this. B multiplied to the left, and new period divided to the bottom. Okay, I'll do it more slowly, okay? Or this looks too confusing, right? If you look at the summary before, okay? Okay, where did it go? Yeah, here. Right, period equal to 2 pi over b, right? That was our formula in our summary. So now if we go back, just write it on the side here, okay? Oh. Period equal to 2 pi divided by b. Now if I write p as p over 1, and then we cross multiply, okay? Cross multiply means multiply to the, go upwards, okay? B multiplied to the left, y multiplied to the right. Then you get period times b equal to 2 pi times 1. And our goal is try to find b, okay? So b will equal to 2 pi divided by p. P is the new period. Any questions here? Okay, we're just using our original formula, and then instead of solving for period, we isolate the b. Okay, it's the same formula, we just move them around. Okay, can you raise your hand if you understand this part? So there isn't really much new stuff here, right? It's still the same formula that we used to use, but we just move them around because we want to go backwards, right? Before we want to find a new period, now we want to find a b, right? We want to get a, b, c, d. All right, so to find the b values, we take 2 pi divided by our period. Okay, so period means how long it takes for the whole graph to repeat, okay? So if you look at this graph, this whole red line, right? The red line is the period. Starting from new origin, right? Go up, go down, go down, go up. That completes one period. So we are looking for how long is this whole thing, right? This length. Okay, because this one got extended outside the grid. So what you can do is to observe half of it, right? From 0.345, that makes half of the graph. And then you just double the length, then that makes the whole period. Okay, so the new origin, right? Or you can look at the size of space, right? If it's clear, this one is not really clear where the size of space is, but you can look at half of it. The new origin starts at 4, right? Oops. Yeah, so from 4 at 4, right, goes up to 8, goes up to 10, right? So this gap is 6. So if you make another 6, it will complete the whole period. Does that make sense? Right, so that's one way. You just need to know where it starts and where it finishes. Okay, either you look at half of it, right, double that, or you can look at the whole thing. So that's one way, okay? I don't want to make it too messy, okay? Oops. So, or you can look at the first point to the 5th point. First point is at -2. And then the 5th point is at 10. So from -2 to 10, right? That's also 12. That's your period. So there are many ways you can do, right, to figure out the period, but you need to look at the graph. Okay, because it takes 12 units, right, to make the graph to repeat again. So you need to know where it starts to repeat. So I'm gonna use the yellow highlighted part, okay? So this part starts from 4 all the way to here. This distance is 12, which is our period. Okay? So you're getting information from the graph. So now go back to the bottom, right? We have B should equal to 2 pi divided by 12. So of course we can simplify this, right? Pi over 6. Okay, so we have found our A, our B. Okay, any questions so far? Please raise your hands if you got everything up to here. So A is the amplitude. B, you need to take 2 pi divided by the period. Okay, let me know if you have questions. Okay, if not, please raise your hand. Okay, Callum, Chris, and Marcus, do you have any question you want to ask me? Is there any part that's unclear? Marcus? Marcus, are you there? Marcus? Okay, are you there, Marcus? Otherwise, I have to call you.
Farting.
Marcus, yeah, I'm looking for Marcus. Okay, give me 1 second. I have to try to reach him.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
No. Where did you go?
I went to get water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and yeah, so do you have questions? How to get the B?
No.
Okay. So we found out A and B. We still need C and D, right? So C and D is talking about phase shift and vertical displacement, right? So this one, so all you need to do is just look at the new origin, right? Used to be 0, 0. Now it has been moved. The whole graph has been moved to the right by 4, up by 1. right? You look at the new origin. So your CD is your new origin. So this 4 is C. This 1 is your D. Okay. So you found your ABCD. Then that's all you need to get, right? Once you got ABCD, you just write out your equation, because your equation looks like that, right? A sine B x minus C plus D. Okay, so therefore our answer for this question is y equals A, we found it to be 2, and then it's a sine graph. B is power over 6, x minus C, C is 4, and then D is 1, so plus 1. So that's your answer. Okay, so let's quickly recap what's going on. Okay, we spent quite a lot of time doing this one question, but once, right, we move on to next one, everything is the same. Just keep on repeating the same steps. Okay, so your first step is try to find a new origin. So you need to know what you're looking for, right? Because question can change. If they want a sine equation, then your basic, you need to draw a sine. Okay, you have to know what the question wants. And because also the question wants no reflection, so your basic shouldn't have reflection. Okay, once you determine what you want, then you go to the graph, try to find out where is the starting point. So then it looks like what you want. Okay, we chose the third point, right, to be our starting place. So that's where the new origin is. Okay, once you got that new origin correct, you are like 70% done, because that's the hardest part. The other part, okay, now you move on to step 2, right? You find the A, you can either use the formula or you can count. B, you use the formula, you get a period from the graph and you divide, right? Then you got your ABCD, you finished. Much easier, right? If you try to find an equation, right? If you want to get a graph, more work to do. Okay. We're gonna look at question B. I think we should take a break first, okay? After the break, we'll look at question B and take this time to look over the example here, okay? If you come up with any question, okay, you can ask me. So let's have a break and then we'll come back at 10 after 11, all right?